Shut up and sit down.
Hi guys, it's Dodge from Big Mech's Workshop and Paint Studio. Today we're going to be painting the GW's Plague Drone. I've gone ahead and I've got started, gone straight onto a black primer with Vallejo. Then we're going to go to model colour, tan yellow, to do all the flesh. We're going to leave the chassis, we're going to do that later. Might need to give this a couple of coats, or a slightly thicker coat, as I'm spraying on black, so make sure you've got a nice even coat on that, maybe do two. I'm going into the shadows and recessed areas with a very watered down burnt umber. I've turned the PSI down on the compressor to about 15, and I'm just going in all those shaded areas. I'm going to do this all over the recesses, just trying to get it in there. Doesn't matter if you get some overspray, because it's going to add to the shaded effect, because we're going to go over this again. And this is what it looks like. It looks a bit orange at the moment, but this next step's going to sort that out, because we're going to go over it with a German yellow by model colour. Water this down and we're going to use it like a filter. We're going to bring up the yellow areas again, and we're also going to go slightly over the burnt umber. Just light coating so you can still see the burnt umber all the way through it. This will change the tone of that colour to a slight purpley bruised colour, which is just what we want for a plague drone. You can see the comparison there. The first one that we did with the burnt umber, and it's a very bright colour, and then it's all toned down, leaving a purpley bruised sort of look in all the recesses after the tan yellow. Once we've done that, we're going to go over all those bits again, and we're going to go over it with duck egg model air, and then we're going to leave. We don't want to cover all the colours, we want a nice thin coat higher up this time, so we've got a gradient that goes from tan yellow, shaded down with burnt umber, built back up with German yellow, and then duck egg for the highest colour. So very useful colour if you're doing Nurgle. It's a sort of off-white green colour. And as you can see, all those colours are staying in the recesses, and the duck egg is being built up on all the light spots. Then we're going to use some Lamiate Medium and GW's Athonian Camo Shade and a wash brush. You want to make sure this is thin enough and it doesn't pool up in the areas, in the flat areas, and it doesn't pool up too much in the shaded areas where you've just done all this work. Otherwise you're going to cover up your transitions. So tend to do a couple of coats of this. One or two coats should do it. It's nice and thin, that way you can stay in control of everything. And because we've lost some of the colour on the big flat surfaces where the light will hit, we're going to go back over it with the duck egg. Very, very lightly, just in a few areas where the light hits. As you can see, it's starting to look very rotten and weathered. It's got a lot of colour transitions in it. I like the little faces that they put inside the drones. I think that's a really cool detail. But we'll get to painting those in a minute. Once we're done with that, we're going to go and use a Bugman Glow by GW, and we're going to paint those little faces. That really is a cool feature. There's two or three of them wedged in there. Yeah, Bugman's Glow, we're going to put that all in the recesses, not in all the shallow ones. We're going to let the washers sit in those. But anything that's a really deep recess and looks like it'd be flesh underneath, we're going to do Bugman's Glow, and then we're going to build the colour up on that with some washes to blend it all together. Then we're using Racquard Flesh straight from the pot, because we're going to tone down that pink. You can't see it on camera, but it looks like a very vibrant pink to the eye. Just using a standard size brush. We want this wash to pull up in those recesses and start adding a lot more depth. Because anyone who knows anything about an airbrush knows you end up with quite a cloudy effect, and the Bugman's Glow is a very flat base colour. And then we're going to use Lamiate Medium again, because I use this for all my washes pretty much to stop it clouding. Lamiate Medium and Drushi Violet by GW. Starting at the furthest distance I want the bruising and the purple to be done, and then pulling the wash closer and closer into the fleshy areas and the holes in the flesh, also going around the warts. So we're going to keep pulling that in, and off camera I end up doing 4 or 5 different layers of that, pulling it in and building it up to give a nice transition. As you can see, that the colours on those are built up really nicely. I also did the face, making its face look sore and swollen. Then we're going to use a Skaven Blight Dinge on the teeth. And you can see they're coming along really nice now. Those layers of purple really paid off, just putting that extra bit of time and effort in, rather than just slapping a wash on it. Now we're a very thin mix of Carabert Crimson by GW, the wash and a standard brush, Lamiate Medium again, because we don't want to just throw down a colour and it be a solid colour. On this model we're going for lots and lots of transitions. Yeah, sorry for the dodgy camera there. It doesn't matter if you go over the edges ever so slightly with this wash. That's one of the reasons it's so thin. It's much more forgiving, and because it's an organic piece, we should all blend that together anyway. Doing a bit more on the odd warts, I didn't want to make them all red, just in the most sore area where all the bile and pus would build up. Now I did the legs separately, but we're still using the same technique. I went and used a German yellow again and went over the warts. I think I went over them a couple of times, then added those washes again. So the washes act as a filter, so you've got your German yellow, filter it down so it's got an off colour, and the wash will pull up around the wart, making it look sore. And obviously here's what it looks like once you've done the warts, so you should be up to this step right now. And we've started going ahead doing the armour with a Skaven Blight Dinge, then pulling in was German Grey by Model Colour. Pulling, yeah that's it, German Grey by the Model Colour up into the recesses of that, rather than just using a wash to make it very dark. And then we used just an oil all over the entire thing to blend everything together at last. And as you can see, that chassis is coming along. Just highlighting it again around the edges with the original colour, because after you put those washes and blends on, you've took away the sharp details, so we're going to bring those back with the same base colours. Also, you can see on this one I did the tongue as well. I used Screaming Pink, Bugman's Glow, Carabert Crimson, and then just highlighted it. After that I sprayed them with a gloss varnish and gave them an oil wash, which is why the recesses look a lot deeper. But don't put your oil wash in the wounds, because it will just fill those up with really dark colour and obscure all those details. We did a black gloss on the eyes, so they look shiny, lifelike. And then we're on to the wings. On the wings I went ahead and did a Talon sand as the first coat. That's what I started with. Then we airbrush over the top and we use Attractor flesh. We're not trying to cover the whole thing, just the very tips and towards the end of the wings. So we're going to layer this up as well, give it lots of colour transitions. Then once that's dry, I put on a Seraphim sepia. Obviously always watering it down with Lamiate medium for the best effects. When doing organic stuff, you don't really want your washes from GW to dry with that pasty sort of colour that they give off, which is a constant problem if you're trying to make something look decent. Also, these wings have got magnets in them. That's why they're able to stand on the ruler, because it just makes packing up your plague drones easier if you can just pop the wings on and off. Now we're going in with an Attractor Shade. Not going all the way to the very tip of the wing. We're just starting a bit lower down than we did with the Seraphim sepia and pulling down towards the base of the wing. So that way the transition will end up at the bottom, which is where the least amount of light will end up. Just let those dry, and then we go ahead and we start painting Athonian Camo Shade. This is extremely watered down, there's barely any colour to it, and we go over the whole thing. So if there is any slight hard lines or anything left, this Athonian Camo Shade is going to act as a final filter on there and blend all those colours together. Also gives them a slight tint of green so it matches everything else that we've done. And after a quick dry brush with Attractor flesh, I've sprayed them with gloss varnish and using an oil pin wash, just dabbing the tiniest bit of black oil into the recesses, and it will follow using the capillary action from the brush. And once that's dry, we just matte varnish them and they're able to be clipped onto the models. The very trims of the wing, I didn't cover that because it's done the exact same way the chassis were done, and I didn't fancy covering it twice. Plus it wouldn't have fit on the video because there's a lot crammed into this video. There may be a second part for this video coming out when I do the riders at some point. And once we pop the wings on with the magnets, that's the finished product. I hope you enjoyed the video and it helped you paint your models. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more from our studio in the month of Nurgle, hit subscribe. And you can follow us on Facebook as well. I will post a link for the Facebook page in the description. And thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later.